Oh, gotta do this 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do this one first.
Ten Australia Money Militar Place visit, Google search. For military history and aircraft, visit the Australian War Memorial, Canberra. Fighter World, Williamtown, Automera Aviation Museum. While naval history fans can explore the Holbrook Submarine Museum. For active bases or sensitive sites like Pine Gap US Joint Facility, public access is restricted, but some areas like Puckapunyal offer controlled visits, and you can see historic forts like Fort Scratchley, Newcastle. Though actual bases like Graf Amberley usually require special arrangements or tours, not casual visits. Here are 10 Australian places with military connections or historical significance. Australian War Memorial, Canberra, ACT, a national memorial, museum, and archive, offering deep insights into Australia's military history, free entry. Fort Scratchley, Newcastle, New South Wales, historic coastal fortification with tunnels and gun emplacements, offering tours. Fighter World, Williamtown, New South Wales, located near RAF Base Williamtown, showcasing fighter jets and aviation history. Temora Aviation Museum, Temora, New South Wales, features historic flying aircraft, including military types, with regular flying displays. Holbrook Submarine Museum, Holbrook, New South Wales, home to the Masovan submarine, detailing naval history. Lithgow Small Arms Factory Museum, Lithgow, New South Wales, explores Australia's small arms manufacturing history. RAF Base Wagga Heritage Centre, Wagga Wagga, New South Wales, located at the Air Force's training base, showcasing RAF history. HMAS Albatross, Nowra, New South Wales, the Fleet Air Arm Museum offers access to naval aviation displays. Puckapunyal Military Area, Victoria, a large training area. Some parts like the Australian Army Infantry Museum are accessible with visitor passes. Pine Gap, Alice Springs, NT, a high-security joint US-Australian satellite surveillance facility, no public visits allowed. But its existence and role are significant. Note on bases, while some museums are on or near bases, casual visits to active operational bases like RAF Amberley or HMAS Cuttable are generally not permitted without official business or specific pre-arranged tours. Australian War Memorial, home. The 11th of January 2026, entries are now open, apply today. Visit the memorial. Entry is free and tickets are not required. Stories that have shaped Australia. WM, War Memorial Magazine. Australian War Memorial. RAF Base Amberley Air Force. RAF Base Amberley is Defence's largest operational air base. Established in 1940, the base is located in Queensland, 40 kilometres southwest of Brisbane. www.airforce.gov.au. Pine Gap, Wikipedia. Operations started in 1970 when about 400 American families moved to Central Australia. The function of the base when it first opened was to monitor military AC. Wikipedia. Military museums and sites in Australia, travel guided Wikivoyage. The 14th of August 2022, outside Sydney *15 Australian Army Infantry Museum, Lone Pine Barracks, Hamilton VC Drive. Singleton Military Area, south of the town of Singleton or off Gold. Wikivoyage. List of Australian military bases, Wikipedia. New South Wales *HMAS Albatross, Nowra, *HMAS Cuttable, Garden Island, Sydney, *HMAS Penguin, Balmoral, Sydney, *HMAS Waterhen, Waverton, Sydney, *HMAS. Wikipedia. US Naval Base Australia, Wikipedia. The US Navy has only one base currently in Australia, Naval Communications Station Harold E. Holt in Exmouth, Western Australia. There is one other non-Navy U. Wikipedia. Puckapunyal Military Area, Australian Defence Force. Access. All visitors without a Defence Common Access cards must use left entry lane at Access Control Point. Upon presentation of a valid identification and SAT. www.defence.gov.au. Australian War MEMORIAL https://www.awm.gov.au. Australian War Memorial, home. The 11th of January 2026, entries are now open, apply today. Visit the memorial. Entry is free and tickets are not required. Stories that have shaped Australia. WM, War Memorial Magazine. www.airforce.gov.au. Townsville Military Tours, half-day tour, epic deals and last-minute discounts. When you see the Qualmark logo, your activity of choice is endorsed by New Zealand Tourism's official quality assurance organisation and backed by leaders in the industry. It's your trusted guide to iconic activities and experiences that are awarded for their exceptionally high level of quality, safety and sustainability. Qualmark Gold. This award recognises the best sustainable tourism businesses in New Zealand. It denotes exceptional customer experiences at the heart of everything the company does. This business is leading the way in making the New Zealand tourism industry a world-class sustainable visitor destination. Qualmark Silver. This award is evidence of a sophisticated tourism business that consistently exceeds visitor expectations. Their proactive leadership and management ensure the businesses focus on continuously improving their economic social and environmental performance to create genuine, constantly evolving and sustainable tourism experiences. Qualmark Bronze. The Qualmark Bronze Award recognizes a business that operates with a high level of professionalism, is mindful of its environmental impact, and is dedicated to putting customers first. Ultimate Whitehaven Experience, Whitehaven, Hill Inlet and Snorkeling, GSL Marine, epic deals and last-minute discounts. When you see the Qualmark logo, your activity of choice is endorsed by New Zealand Tourism's official quality assurance organisation and backed by leaders in the industry. It's your trusted guide to iconic activities and experiences that are awarded for their exceptionally high level of quality, safety and sustainability. Qualmark Gold. This award recognises the best sustainable tourism businesses in New Zealand. It denotes exceptional customer experiences at the heart of everything the company does. This business is leading the way in making the New Zealand tourism industry a world-class sustainable visitor destination. Qualmark Silver. This award is evidence of a sophisticated tourism business that consistently exceeds visitor expectations. Their proactive leadership and management ensure the businesses focus on continuously improving their economic, social and environmental performance to create genuine, constantly evolving and sustainable tourism experiences. Qualmark Bronze. The Qualmark Bronze Award recognizes a business that operates with a high level of professionalism, is mindful of its environmental impact, and is dedicated to putting customers first. Training at Naval Base, 10 Flight Horse and More, Cockburn History. Italians in wartime Cockburn, internment and enemy aliens, Cockburn History. Food Lifestyle Australia Government News and Policy, Google search. Australia's food policy focuses on public health, food security, and sustainability, with strategies addressing obesity, promoting healthy eating via dietary guidelines, and reducing food waste. While the new National Food Council aims to guide our national food security strategy amid rising household food insecurity and debates over industry influence on policy. Key policy areas include mandatory health star rating, HSR labels, sugar-sweetened beverage taxes, and restrictions on unhealthy food marketing, though implementation faces challenges, as highlighted by calls for stronger action on obesity and nutrition. Key government initiatives and policies. National Preventive Health Strategy 2021-2030 and National Obesity Strategy 2022-2032 aim to reduce obesity and improve nutrition, targeting healthy diets and addressing chronic diseases, with calls for concrete implementation plans. National Food Security Strategy, a new initiative guided by the National Food Council, focusing on making nutritious, sustainable food accessible, tackling rising household food insecurity. Healthy Food Partnership works with food companies to reformulate products, reducing sugar, salt, and saturated fats. National Food Waste Strategy targets halving food waste by 2030 through policy, business, market, and behavior changes aligning with global goals. Australian Dietary Guidelines provide advice on healthy eating, with resources for schools, families, and the public. Current issues and debates. Food insecurity. Rising costs and climate impacts are increasing food insecurity, with over 13% of households struggling to afford food in 2023. Policy implementation calls for faster action on obesity and nutrition, with concerns that the new National Food Council might favour corporate interests over public health. Health Star Ratings HSR advocacy for making HSR mandatory to help consumers make healthier choices. Key areas for action. Marketing restrictions, limiting unhealthy food marketing to children. Sugar tax, implementing a levy on sugary drinks and unhealthy foods. Food system transformation, creating a more equitable, healthy, and sustainable food supply. Australia's new National Food Council, lots of industry reps, at the cost of the 23rd of November 2025, this contributes to a belief the country is food secure. But household food insecurity is rising nationally. Climate change, geopolitical unrest and cost of live. The University of Melbourne. Government policies, Australia's Food Environment Dashboard. Key recommendations * federal, national government. There is broad consensus amongst the public health community regarding the priority actions needed from the Food Environment Dashboard. National and International Strategies, Food for Health Alliance. Launched in March 2022, the National Obesity Strategy aims to halt the rise and reverse the trend in the prevalence of obesity in adults. And to reduce overweight. Food for Health Alliance. National Food Waste Strategy, DCCEEW. The 14th of December 2025, about this strategy sets Australia's target to halve food waste by 2030. It provides a framework to support action towards this goal. It also DCCEEW. Federal government faces uproar over its approach to food policy. The 27th of November 2025, the dominance of industry foreshadows a policy agenda favouring corporate interests, profit, supply chain efficiencies. Export focus rather than public health. Croaky Health Media. Feeding Australia, a National Food Security Strategy, DAF. The 18th of December 2025, the Australian government has committed $3.5 million to develop Feeding Australia, a National Food Security Strategy. The strategy will be developed with Pharma. DAF. What we're doing about food and nutrition. The 19th of March 2024, the Australian Dietary Guidelines recommend the types and amounts of food everyone should eat each day to be healthy. Get up and grow resources to enable PAIR. Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Ageing. Partnership Reformulation Program. The 17th of November 2025, manufactured and processed food and drinks form a large part of Australians' diet. We are working with food companies to reduce the amount of saturated fat, SOD. Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Ageing. Eat for Health. Australian Dietary Guidelines. Advice about the amount and kinds of foods that we need to eat for health and well-being. The Australian Dietary Guidelines. Read. Eat for Health. News Food Standards Australia New Zealand. The 6th of January 2026 to the 6th of November 2025. Notification Circular 367-25. This notification circular includes notices that are required to be given to the public. Submitters and appropriate. Food Standards Australia New Zealand. Eating Our Way to Missed Health Targets, CSIRO, RACGP. The 11th of March 2025, in 2021, the Australian Government's National Preventive Health Strategy 2021-30 set daily nutritional targets for Australians of 2 serves of fruit, 5s. Royal Australian College of General Practitioners, RACGP. The University of MELBOUR and https://findenexpert.unimelb.edu.au. Australia's new National Food Council, lots of industry reps, at the cost of. The 23rd of November 2025, this contributes to a belief the country is food secure. But household food insecurity is rising nationally. Climate change, geopolitical unrest and cost of live. Food Environment EASHBOARD https://foodenvironmentdashboard.com.au. Government Policies, Australia's Food Environment Dashboard. Key recommendations * Federal, National Government. There is broad consensus amongst the public health community regarding the priority actions needed from the F. Food for Health ALLIANCE https://www.foodforhealthalliance.org.au. National and International Strategies, Food for Health Alliance. Launched in March 2022, the National Obesity Strategy aims to halt the rise and reverse the trend in the prevalence of obesity in adults. National and International Strategies, Food for Health Alliance. Launched in March 2022, the National Obesity Strategy aims to halt the rise and reverse the trend in the prevalence of obesity in adults. And to reduce overweight. DCCEEW https://www.dcceew.gov.au. National Food Waste Strategy, DCCEEW. Food Lifestyle Australia Government News and Policy, Google search. The 24th of November 2025, action to promote access to nutritious and sustainably produced food is central to achieving real food security. The 18th of November 2025, we are working with food companies to gradually reduce sugar, sodium and saturated fat in some processed and manufactured foods and drinks. The 5th of November 2025, in its 13th year, the Foodbank Hunger Report 2025 has again shown persistent and endemic food insecurity with an astounding 1 in 3.5 million households. The 5th of March 2025, the Albanese Labor government has released a 10-year national strategy to improve food security in remote First Nations communities. Missing, news. Show results with, news. South Australia bans ads for soy milk and rice cakes under new junk food rules. News.com.au, Australia's leading news site for latest headlines. The South Australian government has come under fire after officially banning advertisements for fortified soy milk and rice cakes on public transport, labelling the household staples as junk food. The policy, which came into effect today, prevents a wide range of food and drink products from being advertised on state-owned assets. While intended as a public health initiative, the inclusion of products often seen as healthy alternatives, such as soy milk and rice cakes, and M&M salad sandwiches, has triggered widespread confusion. Fortified soy milk is a plant-based beverage made from soybeans that has been enriched with essential nutrients, such as calcium, vitamin B12, and vitamin D. One of the country's most well-known fortified soy milk brands, So Good, has all its soy milk varieties rated 5 stars under the Health Star rating system. Australian Association of National Advertisers ANA CEO Josh Folkes said the decision has left both industry and consumers baffled and called for a more science-based, objective framework. We fully support measures that encourage healthier choices, but the implementation of these policies must be based on credible, evidence-based criteria, Mr. Folkes said. The government has not been able to clearly articulate what is in and what is out of their banned list and has told businesses to submit their ads to an expert panel for assessment if they are unsure. This list should be science-based, objective and create certainty for business, not create more confusion. He warned the policy could backfire by sending a contradictory message to consumers and undermining trust in health-based campaigns. The government is effectively discouraging people from consuming what are widely considered to be nutritious core foods, he said. To address the growing uncertainty, the ANA has urged the South Australian government to adopt the nutrient profiling scoring criteria developed by Food Standards Australia New Zealand FSANZ, an independent federal agency that guides national food standards. The agency criteria are already used to inform food labelling and health claims across all Australian states and territories. Mr. Folkes also raised concerns about the policy's potential economic fallout. The oat and almond farmers in South Australia may be surprised to know that their government wants people to drink less oat and almond milk, he said. The official policy objective is to drive down purchase and consumption of these products.
So Rita and James, suddenly Albert...
It's 300% stronger than stainless steel. So you can scrape it, you can slam it, you can scrub it, and you can...
Joining me now, former Speaker of the House, Bronwyn Bishop, and News Corp columnist Angela Mollard. Great to have you both with us. Bronwyn, you know more about drafting legislation and amended bills and voting in the House and what's going to happen in the Senate. This is a wide-ranging, complicated, major change, with some arguing it will be a danger to free speech. Is it being rushed too quickly?
Certainly it is. And my view of the bill, as it is presently constituted, is that it should be rejected. It is an affront to freedom of speech. You know, freedom of speech is something that is inherent in a democracy. and it's a Western culture concept. It came through Magna Carta, up through the Bill of Rights of 1688, the writings of Milton, the Enlightenment, and it is J.S. Mill. It's come to us as an important pillar of maintaining a democracy. And to rush through this piece of legislation, which is amalgamated material which doesn't relate to each other, simply so that the government, in its cynical way, knows it can find division for the National Party and, of course, One Nation over the question of guns, because they say quite rightly that they are going to make normal, law-abiding citizens pay for the guilty actions of the terrorists. So it is a mishmash, but there's nothing accidental about it. This bill has taken a good deal of time to draft. It goes through a lot of stages to come to the exposure draft. The explanatory memorandum takes a long time to put together. And so this time that the Prime Minister has been saying, oh, we might have a Royal Commission or we might come back, he has been behind the scenes crafting what he knows will be a disastrous bill, and it should be rejected.
Angela, I speculated at the start of the program that, obviously the Prime Minister needed to change the narrative, to get the arguments away from him not calling a Royal Commission and him not, being strong enough to react straight after Bondi. You suspect with what Bronwyn said there, and when you look at this, that might in fact be the case.
And that's right, Steve. Look, there is reacting and then there's being reactive. And I think he's being that at the moment. He is trying to formulate policy from a place of grief, and actually it needs clear-headedness. I really like what a British lawyer has said overnight. He said that laws written in the heat of an outrage become rights lost in the cold light of day. And he goes on to say that he's a free speech lawyer. He says free speech isn't the enemy of social harmony, it's the foundation of social harmony. And I think at the moment what's happening with this legislation, and the fact, as Bronwyn mentioned, that it's all being rolled into one piece together with the gun laws, which of course are a regional and a city issue, quite different approaches to that, is that it's too much at once. It's confusing, but more to the point, it's not driving us in the direction that we want, which is cohesion at the moment rather than division.
Well, there's certainly going to be a heap of division when everybody gets back to Canberra. I note Liberal MP Andrew Hastie this afternoon, Bronwyn, has shared on social media that he'll be voting no to the changes. Here's what he had to say.
I'll be voting no to this bill. I'll be voting against it for two main reasons. The first is this bill is an attack on our basic democratic freedoms: freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion. But secondly, the Prime Minister is showing absolute contempt for normal parliamentary process. For a bill of this size, we would normally take a few months to consider it. It would go into a committee process and the public would have an opportunity to make submissions. There would be public hearings. MPs and senators would debate it and they would consider fully the unintended consequences of this bill. Instead, the Prime Minister has reduced that process to a couple of days.
Well, Bronwyn, Andrew's basically saying there what you said. So how does the new Liberal leader, Susan Lee, now handle this? Because she's got people splintering all over the place. What does she need to do next week?
She needs them to pull them all together and vote no. And the reason I say that is that the Liberal Party, the coalition generally, is bleeding to One Nation. And the reason that it's bleeding is because One Nation is presenting a case which is clear, concise and consistent. And this is seen to be the coalition dithering. Now, I think Susan Lee has done a very good job through this appalling time that we've gone through. She's been strong and she's been morally courageous. But on this particular issue, this bill is a travesty. Everything that was said by Andrew about the length of time that a bill of this size would normally take, but it has been deliberately contrived to put it together to cause argument and discourse, which will, the Labor Party hopes, put the opposition into ill repute because they're not agreeing with what they're saying is going to be the solution. There is one question and one question only that needs to be answered both in legislation and in the Royal Commission, and that is, how did we get to the situation where two alleged radical Islamists hunted Jewish and other people who were attending, but mainly Jewish at a Jewish function, to kill them in the name of religion? How did we get to that stage? That's what we want to know, because then we can determine how to stop it.
Yes, and of course, I mean, those allegations are all going to be retested in court, and we'll see where that goes. Angela, I note the Trump administration's given
was thrown out of the Wallabies for his hate speech would have had a different consequence under these new laws. So you have to think really carefully about where they will land.
Can we have different understanding or whatever, an error or something wrong, you know what I mean? Why not? Why not combine something?
And how they will impact ordinary people if you push ahead with them.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're all for free speech and people say some stupid things, but we can then argue it, we can talk about it, we can discuss why what they said was stupid. I mean, we had Green Senator Marine Faruqi today, yet again, slamming the government's decision to invite Israel's President Isaac Herzog last month after the Bondi terror attack. Well, we disagree with her. He should come, but it's her right, Bronwyn, to say that that's what she believes, that he shouldn't be here.
That's what freedom of speech is. And, you know, it's very ironical if you go back through history, when the printing press was invented and suddenly all sorts of information was disseminated, the Pope tried to shut it down because he didn't want contradicting views out there. It took a lot of effort to fight back for freedom of speech to get where it is and open up freedom for the individual. And we can't let it go. We just can't let it go. Yes, she's entitled to her freedom of speech, and we can speak back and say, no, you're not entitled to. And no, you cannot say that he can't come and expect that to be acted upon. But you can make the statement that you don't want him to come. That's an argument that is fair to have. But we've got to realise that Starmer is a leftist socialist Prime Minister, and this is what you get. Socialists always clamp down on freedom of information. And it's interesting, again, if you go back into history, in 1934, when H.G. Wells went to see Stalin and said to him, I don't think you're quite ready for the freedom of speech here yet. I mean, the reality is that socialists don't want freedom of speech. And this Prime Minister is a socialist from the far left of the Labor Party and does not want freedom of speech.
Great to catch up with you both, Bronwyn Bishop, Angela Mollard. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, new soul. K. 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 A. I. T. K. That's the name. What's the next one? Jordan K. What's the next one? Itasusuke Yote. The Bombos. Oh, look at this one, bro. Clary Brown and the Bango Rackettes. Back Lapton. Curly Nights and the Days. So all of them, all the bands. They play good music, don't they? What happened? Oh, lost it now. Used to have it. Used to have it, dude. Just go up. Still in map, so reggae bands.
Performer, Australian Wedding Entertainment. Our R&B funk soul reggae band has honed its skills over years of live performances in both pubs, clubs and private and corporate function settings. Whether you require relaxing, chilled out tunes to provide atmosphere or hard-hitting grooves to get the party pumping, we've got it all covered. When hiring US, you are hiring a band that not only has the repertoire and live performance to make your event a success, but also the musical intuition and experience that will be sure to make your night unforgettable. Client testimonial. My wife and I recently chose to have this band play at our wedding reception in Newcastle. We could not be happier with that decision. They were outstanding. They played songs that complemented the vibe of the wedding and had everyone up dancing by the end. The manager drummer, Andrew, was so great to deal with the whole way through and was happy to help us out with some special requests we had, i.e. learning our first dance song and letting us use their PA system. I would strongly recommend them as a band for your next function. Their professionalism, versatility and amazing musical talents I'm sure will not be rivaled in or around Sydney. Check them out. Jacob and Meredith, wedding January 14th, 2017. Song list: Al Green, Let's Stay Together. Amy Winehouse, Valerie. Astrid Gilberto and Stan Getz, The Girl from Ipanema. Ben E. King, Stand By Me. Bill Withers, Ain't No Sunshine. Bill Withers, Use Me. Bill Withers, Who Is He and What Is He to You? Chet Baker, Paul Desmond, Autumn Leaves. Curtis Mayfield, People Get Ready. Duke Ellington, Take the A Train. Duke Ellington, It Don't Mean a Thing. Fats Waller, Ella Fitzgerald, Honeysuckle Rose. Frank Sinatra, Come Fly With Me. Frank Sinatra, The Way You Look Tonight. George Benson, I Want You. George Benson on Broadway. George Benson, Summertime. Glenn Frey, Route 66. Gregory Porter, Holding On. Gregory Porter, Liquid Spirit. Jelly Roll, Morton, West End Blues. Lou Rawls, You'll Never Find, Latin Samba. Louis Armstrong.
Stop. I wouldn't know the name of it. Sorry to say, no. I'm going backwards. The new bands, I don't know the names. They're saying names that I don't even know. So I don't want to keep going on something I don't know. I don't know nothing about it.
Funk Engine, Triple J Unearthed. Artist, Funk Engine, Sydney, New South Wales. Artist pick. Track, Taking a Ride feat. Dobby and Daniel Chinoeth by Funk Engine. Track, Taking a Ride feat. Dobby and Daniel Chinoeth genres. Artist, Funk Engine. Uploaded the 13th of April 2017. Other tracks. Track, Do That Stuff by Funk Engine. Track, Do That Stuff genres. Artist, Funk Engine. Uploaded the 3rd of April 2017. For some bands, it all starts and ends with groove. Funk Engine is one such band. The newly minted Sydney 4-piece is dedicated to groove-based music, jazz fusion and reggae. The band members all grew up in Sydney except Felix Lillane, who is originally from Byron Bay. They first met through the Sydney Conservatorium of Music and the Jazz Workshop. Funk Engine was formed in January 2013 by electric bass player, composer and band leader Sieg Pogson. The other members Nish Manjanuth tenor saxophone, Holly Connor drums and Felix Lillane electric guitar are currently studying jazz at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. Funk Engine's favourite artists include Sydney jazz fusion outfit, The Subterraneans, electric bassist and composer Steve Hunter and Japanese funk powerhouses, Mountain Mocha Kilimanjaro. Other influences include Bob Marley, Weather Report, Jaco Pastorius, James Brown, Parliament, Bootsy Collins, Herbie Hancock and Thelonious Monk. After nearly a year of members: Nish Manjunard tenor saxophone, Felix Lane, guitar Holly Connor, drums Nicholas Twiney Seed Pogson, bass sounds like James Brown, Herbie Hancock, Weather Report.
Wow, whatever that means.
You Are My Rock Band, Google search. Choose what you're giving feedback on. Or give, share, tap and hold to copy link. Overview. You Are My are an Australian power pop band, fronted by its songwriter and guitarist, Tim Rogers. They formed in December 1989 and are the first Australian band to have released 3 successive albums that have each debuted at the number 1 position on the ARIA Albums Chart, Hi-Fi Way, Hourly, Daily and number 4 record. Wikipedia. Wikipedia. You Are My, Why We Love Touring Hi-Fi Way 30 years later. The project. You Am I inducted into ARIA Hall of Fame. Web results. You Am I are an Australian power pop band, fronted by its songwriter and guitarist, Tim Rogers. They formed in December 1989 and are the first Australian. You Am I, Why We Love Touring Hi-Fi Way 30 years later. The project. You Am I, Australia's best rock band. Gosford 2022. Joya. You Am I, Heavy Heart Band version. You Are Me Band. Web results. The Dollop and the Wallop, the best of You Am I. Double LP splatter disc vinyl record. Pre-order here podcast series follow. Centered around the prolific songwriting skills of singer-guitarist Tim Rogers, pop group You Am I was one of the most successful and internationally. We started rehearsals in March and we've played almost 40 shows from as far north, south, east and west as we could play. And this last weekend in WA the tour. Short videos. You Am I on Reels. Facebook You Am I. Reel by UAMI at UAMI_GB through August 31st, 2025. Instagram UAMI. You Am I is the Hi-Fi Daily Double Down Tour. Tickets on sale now greater than HTTPS. Facebook You Am I. UAMI dropped into the Australian Music Vault to see the new You Am I. Instagram Casablack Photography. Do you know where we haven't been for absolutely ages, besties? The Instagram El Savage. Legendary Australian rock band You Am I will play homage to one of their. Facebook Ticketmaster Australia. UAMI, live, loud, legendary. Australia's iconic rockers are hitting. Instagram The Warehouse. Tim Rogers is an absolute fucking legend. UAMI were inducted into. Instagram Trash Cult Store. Rock and roll hero Tim Rogers and legendary guitarist Davey Lane from U. Facebook ABC Perth. UAMI You Am I is the Hi-Fi Daily Double Down Tour. Tickets on sale. Instagram UAMI. We started rehearsals in March and we've played almost 40 shows from as far north, south, east and west as we could play. And this last weekend in WA the tour. Tim Rogers formed the first version of the band with his school friend Nick Tiskler and his older brother James in December 1989. The band's name was, for the non-Australian audience, a band from the 90s you may not have heard of is You Am I. An underground old rock band. Tim Rogers is the voice. More. Been getting back into the great Aussie rock band You Am I and I'm enjoying it. Is there any love for them here? Classic rock that could be. More. Hey Chris Myers, nice collection. You should share it to the sound as ever Australian indie. More. Top answer 7 votes. Yep, I am seeing them tonight in Brisbane supporting The Darkness and doing their awesome Spinal. More. 6 votes. Timmy Rogers is nice bloke. Had a little chat to him while he was attending a small. More. 5 votes. You Am I are still going strong. Tim Rogers is a great, very quirky frontman. More. 5 votes. Wonderful band, many great songs. Tim Rogers is one of the best songwriters in Australian history. More. 5 votes. The 1st of September 2025, formed in Sydney in the late 80s, fronted by the inimitable Tim Rogers joined by band members Andy Kent, You Am I inducted into ARIA Hall of Fame. The Australian Recording Industry Association ARIA is thrilled to reveal that legendary Aussie rock band You Am I will be inducted into Theria Hall of Fame during the 2025 ARIA Awards in partnership with Spotify on Wednesday the 19th of November 2025. The esteemed accolade will be awarded to the 10-time ARIA award winners at Sydney's Hordern Pavilion on Gadigal land, celebrating their outstanding contribution to Australian music over the past 3 decades. Formed in Sydney in the late 80s, fronted by the inimitable Tim Rogers joined by band members Andy Kent, Davey Lane and Russell Hopkinson. You Am I emerged in the early 1990s with a sound that reshaped the landscape of Australian rock. With their blend of garage grit, power pop hooks, and distinctly local storytelling, the band became one of the most influential and critically acclaimed acts of their generation. You Am I's landmark albums Hi-Fi Way, Hourly, Daily, and number 4 record not only topped the ARIA charts but cemented the band's legacy as trailblazers of Australia's alternative music scene. Their emotionally raw, lyrically rich songs reflected suburban Australia with both wit and vulnerability, capturing the spirit of a nation through a fuzz pedal and a four-chord truth. Since its February 1995 release, Hi-Fi Way has remained a fan favourite album, with a significant influence on the Australian music landscape, and has cemented Tim Rogers' reputation as one of Australia's great storytellers. 30 years on, Hi-Fi Way remains as compelling as ever. This year, UMI announced their 30th anniversary tour, which has so far garnered glowing reviews, with fans relishing in the opportunity to hear Hi-Fi Way live in its entirety. Hi-Fi Way marks a pivotal moment in the trajectory of UMI. Produced by Lee Ranaldo, who also co-produced the band's debut album Sound As Ever. Hi-Fi Way is the first of their 3 consecutive albums to debut at number 1 on Theory Albums Chart, a feat not achieved by any Australian band prior. Follow-up Hourly, Daily garnered 9 ARIA Award nominations and went on to secure the band's 6 trophies, including the prestigious Album of the Year award. UMI's number 4 record includes the iconic single Heavy Heart, a shining example of the mastery of Tim Rogers' songwriting. Over their career, UMI have released 11 studio albums, won 10 ARIA awards, and inspired a generation of Australian acts from Jet and Grinspoon to Silverchair to Tame Impala. Their explosive live performances are the stuff of legend, with support slots alongside Nirvana, the Rolling Stones, Oasis, and The Who, and a loyal fan base that has grown with them across the past 3 decades. All these releases have generated an extraordinary 31 ARIA Award nominations. ARIA CEO, Annabelle Hurd, said, Australia has witnessed UMI shape the course of modern rock music with their unmistakable sound, honed by live shows across the length and breadth of the country and beyond. With 10 ARIA awards, multiple chart-topping albums, and a legacy that has inspired countless musicians, UMI is one of the finest live acts this country has produced. Fueled in equal parts by the explosive musical chemistry between the band and Tim Rogers' era-defining songwriting. It's the songs that have really sealed the deal on making UMI a band for the ages. Tim Rogers' ability to nail a universal feeling with a couple of seemingly throwaway lines, through that uniquely Australian lens, is one of the reasons that UMI's music, including ARIA number 1 Hi-Fi Way, Hourly Daily and number 4 record, are held so close to fans' hearts. We are thrilled to be welcoming one of Australia's most influential and enduring bands into the ARIA Hall of Fame. On behalf of the band, frontman Tim Rogers said, "We are bemused, flattered and surprised to be asked to sit at the parents' table. The artists in the hall have had musical adventures of grandeur and righteous acclaim. Our trail of desperation seems more haphazard and with less dazzle, yet we are giddy and grateful to feel recognition from the music community. We'll see you out there on the road of endless possibilities." UMI's induction into Theoria Hall of Fame will take place during the 2025 ARIA Awards, where they will join the ranks of Australia's most revered musical legends and artists. Theoria Awards will return to 10 and live stream on Paramount+. Next year in 2026, Theoria Awards will celebrate its 40th anniversary, where Theoria Awards Hall of Fame will get a standalone event where they will induct more heroes and legends from Australian music. The 2025 ARIA Awards nominations will be announced on Thursday the 25th of September. ARIA Awards is supported proudly by the New South Wales Government through its tourism and events agency, Destination New South Wales. For media inquiries, please contact Lucy Nettlefold Twofold Media, Lucy at twofold.media. Photograph, UMI left to right, Russell Hopkinson, Davey Lane, Tim Rogers and Andy Kent. Credit, Chloe Paul. last.fm/music/u+m+i/+wiki. UMI and Friends play Hi-Fi Way live at Double J, ABC Listen. This year marks 30 years since UMI released their much-loved second album Hi-Fi Way. Released in February 1995, it's an Australian classic. It snagged the band an ARIA, earned them 3 spots in that year's Hottest 100. Has topped a heap of best album lists and influenced
Is UMI, the band, 3 blokes in it, 2 guitarists, 1 drummer, that's all it is, isn't it? Or is it any more?
generations of Australian musicians. The band are hitting the road across Australia in April and May to celebrate, but before the tour kicks off, we invited them into Double J to play the album live and invite some friends along too. Get ready to hear UMI playing these iconic songs joined by Sarah Blasco, Zach Stevenson from Hockey Dad, Sunshine Coast hip-hop artist Nathan Tessman aka MC Wheels from ABC TV's Headliners and Sweet Boy Sonnet from Sydney band Sonnet and the Bread Boys and ABC TV's Headliners. Recorded by Greg Wales, Eileen McDonald Sparks and Kieran Bowditch. Mixed by Greg Wales. 2 o'clock, plays out at 2 minutes into the episode. Jewels and Bullets featuring Zach Stevenson Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025. UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 5:23, plays out at 5 minutes and 23 seconds into the episode. Purple Sneakers featuring Zach Stevenson Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025. UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 9:17, plays out at 9 minutes and 17 seconds into the episode. Minor Bird featuring MC Wheels and Sweet Boy Sonnet Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025. UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 12:40, plays out at 12 minutes and 40 seconds into the episode. She Digs Her featuring MC Wheels and Sweet Boy Sonnet Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025. UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 16:24, plays out at 16 minutes and 24 seconds into the episode. How Much Is Enough featuring Sarah Blasco Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025.
You can watch it on YouTube, UMI.
UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 20:04, plays out at 20 minutes and 4 seconds into the episode. Handwasher featuring Sarah Blasco Double J live recording, ABC Sydney, 2025. UMI, live at the Wireless on Double Jad 2. YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah.
Queensland Music Festivals Guide, 2025-2026 Yellow. The Queensland Music Festivals Guide serves up the best in live music and entertainment from the Sunshine State's southeast corner and beyond. Summer in Australia goes hand in hand with icy cold beer, finger-licking soul foods, open-air spaces, insta-besties, and of course world-class live music. From the much-loved Woodford Folk Festival to the last ever, but was it, Blues Fest. The Queensland Music Festivals guide zivs up the best music festivals from the Sunshine Coast to Brisbane, the Gold Coast, and beyond. Your summer festival gear is covered in the yellow shop. Island Vibe Festival, November 21 to 23, 2025. Price, $170. Music Festival New South Wales Australia, Google search. Map data copyright 2026 Google items. 2026 Tamworth Country Music Festival. The Courthouse Hotel, Tamworth. Tamworth Country Music Festival. Tamworth Country Music Festival. Tamworth Country Music Festival. Country Music Performance. West Tamworth League Club. Tamworth Country Music Festival 2026 Golden Guitar, free show. The Mescoltons, Tamworth Country Music Festival 2026. The 24th of December 2025, this March, Scarborough Beach Weekend of 2026 will mark the long-awaited return of large-scale live music to the glorious Western Australian coast. With a lineup. #breaking, a major Sydney festival has been axed after 3 years, with organisers blaming global challenges despite millions in state government funding. 14 hours ago, the 16th of January Friday, the 25th of January Sun, the Toyota Fanzone experience is 100% absolutely free and jam-packed full of seriously good talent. 7 hours ago, Port Fairy Folk Festival unveils even more artists for 2026. The 14th of January 2026, the much-loved Port Fairy Folk Festival is just around. 7 days ago, 2026 tickets. Greater than intimate music and stories. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than raucous dance and song. 2 days ago, stay tuned for the full lineup announcement for Get Together Music Festival 2026 at the Wambarra Bolo, happening Saturday the 21st of March. It's going to be huge. The 14th of December 2025, music, dance, art, heritage, food, culture, celebration. The 30th of April to the 3rd of May 2026 in Glen Innes, New South Wales, celebrating the festival's Year of Scotland. The 28th of December 2025, Field Day will be the 9th festival to participate in the 12-month trial. With the festival taking place on Thursday the 1st of January 2026 at the Domain in Sydney. The 1st of January 2026, Lost Paradise is the Central Coast's iconic New Year's Eve festival, held in Glenworth Valley on Darkinjung country from the 28th of December to the 1st of January. St Albans Folk Festival, New South Wales. Greater than. Intimate music and stories. Greater than. The 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than. Raucous dance and song. Greater than. The 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than. Darkinjung country. Greater than. The 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than intimate music and stories. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than raucous dance and song. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than Darkinjung country. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than intimate music and stories. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than raucous dance and song. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than Darkinjung country. Greater than the 24th to the 26th of April 2026. Greater than intimate music and stories. Greater than the Get Together Music Festival 2026 in Wambarra, The Fold, your guide to everything regional Australia. Get Together Music Festival 2026, New South Wales. Stay tuned for the full lineup announcement for Get Together Music Festival 2026 at the Wambarra Bolo, happening Saturday the 21st of March. It's going to be huge. 578 Lawrence Hargrave Drive, Wambarra, New South Wales 2515. 578 to 582 Lawrence Hargrave Drive, Wambarra, New South Wales 2515, Australia. Source, The Fold. Updated, the 12th of January 2026. Editorial disclaimer. Information in this listing has been compiled by The Fold from publicly available sources and has not been verified with the business. The Fold is not liable for any inaccuracies. Please confirm details directly with the business. You may also be interested in. Discover more from Illawarra. You searched for festival, filters, region, articles category, directory type, directory category, showing 1 to 20 results out of 868. Listing. Highlands Running Festival Burradoo. Join us at Oxley College in Burradoo on Sunday the 22nd of March 2026 for the very first Highlands Running Festival. Choose from the 21.1 kilometers half marathon, 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or the family-friendly 2 kilometers dash. Run along the scenic riverside paths of the Bong Bong Common Track and enjoy a buzzing event atmosphere, whether you're chasing a PB or simply soaking in the Southern Highlands scenery. Every participant receives a Southern Highlands Finishers Medal, post-race treats, sponsor goodies, and an online finisher certificate. When? Sunday the 22nd of March 2026 where? Oxley College, Burradoo. Register now. Burradoo. On December 17th, 2025. Listing. Bowral Autumn.
An adventure. It's an adventure.
Autumn Music Festival Thursday the 26th of March, Sunday the 29th of March 2026, St Jude's Anglican Church. Bowral. The St Jude's Music Association proudly presents the Bowral Autumn Music Festival, held in the historic surrounds of St Jude's Church in Bowral. The festival features 6 exquisite chamber music concerts and 3 pre-concert discussions, showcasing some of Australia's finest musicians, including Trio Kin, Ironwood Ensemble, Naxos Quartet, Emily Sun, Trio Henry, and more. The program offers a rich and diverse repertoire, featuring works by Schubert, Britten, Bach, Piazzolla, Bernstein, Rachmaninoff, and Heinsohn, alongside the special world premiere of Piano Trio No. 2 by acclaimed Australian composer Ross Edwards. An annual highlight on the Southern Highlands cultural calendar, the Bowral Autumn Music. Bowral, by Carol Posers, on the 1st of August 2026. Listing. The Shire of Murray's biggest public event of the year, the Pinjarra Festival returns to the beautiful grounds of the iconic Edenvale Heritage Precinct during the WA Day-long weekend. Enjoy a stellar lineup of live music, 100+ market stalls, free kids activities, displays, workshops, amusements and more. For further event information, visit their website or follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Pinjarra Festival is presented by the Shire of Murray. Pinjarra, by ATDW Feed, on the 8th of August 2025. Listing. Unique events in unusual places. First staged in 1997, the Shepparton Festival has grown to deliver an exciting array of art and cultural activities each autumn, celebrating the peoples and places of Shepparton and Goulburn Valley. The Shepparton Festival has played a major role in changing the face of the arts culture in the region by giving the arts a greater profile and acceptance. In fact, the Shepparton Festival has had an impact on the way Shepparton views itself and is viewed by others. Shepparton now hosts a strong annual program of touring professional performing arts events, reflecting the uniqueness of the Shepparton Festival and of the region in a way that attracts local patronage as well as visitors from Shepparton, by ATDW Feed, on August 15, 2025. Listing. Childers Festival is a celebration of the people and heritage of Childers and the only festival that
So all these places have different festivals, different time of the year, and it's respectable custom and tradition.
closes the Bruce Highway, over 4 days. On the last weekend in July each year, Childers is transformed into an action-packed entertainment hub, concluding with Sunday's famous Market Day, which regularly sees nearly 40,000 people flock to the small town for celebrity artists and live music from every genre and decade. The incredible markets feature a highway filled with over 300 stallholders where you can pick up vintage treasures, sample local produce and admire handmade gems and local arts and craft. Those young and young at heart will also be mesmerized by dance, culture, street performers and carnival rides. Experience free and ticked. Childers, by ATDW Feed, on July 29, 2025. Listing. The 2025 AACTA Festival brought together Australia's top creatives for 5 unforgettable days of film, television and storytelling. In 2026, they're back and ready to celebrate Australia's unique stories and the people who make them through connection, creativity and community. Set against the stunning backdrop of the Gold Coast, the 2026 AACTA Festival will return to Hota, home of the arts and unite screen lovers, filmmakers and industry leaders.
If you didn't have it, or didn't do it, or whatever, anything goes. All good, mate.
Leaders, for an unmissable celebration of Australian screen culture and excellence. Surfers Paradise, by ATDW Feed, on July 26, 2025. Listing. The Rosebery Festival is one of the longest-running festival events in Tasmania. The event is an eclectic series of activities, with something for the whole family. Take a scenic drive through the remote rugged landscape of the west coast of Tasmania to be entertained by local music, art and community events. Experience the unique and quirkiness of what this town and community have to offer. Rosebery, by ATDW Feed, on July 23, 2025. Listing. Cairns Premier Annual Celebration. Cairns is a very special part of the world and undoubtedly one of Australia's most popular destinations for holiday visitors, renowned across the globe for our World Heritage listed Great Barrier Reef and wet tropics rainforest. But scratch the surface and you will also discover a region buzzing with arts and culture. Cairns Festival is an annual 10-day celebration of art, culture and the beauty of living in tropical North Queensland. The biggest event on the Cairns calendar, Cairns Festival delivers a vibrant, progressive and collaborative festival, providing a platform to engage locals and visitors alike by exploring our unique sense of place, diverse heritage and distinct tropical lifestyle. Since its inception in 1961, Cairns Festival continues. Edge Hill, by ATDW feed, on the 9th of September 2025. Listing. Sala Festival is an annual celebration of South Australian living visual artists. South Australia comes alive with artwork every August, as thousands of artists show their work in venues across the state. You'll find art just about anywhere during Sala, from art galleries, cafes, libraries and pubs, to shop windows, fences, and even projected on huge grain silos. A range of art forms are represented in the festival: painting, sculpture, drawing, glass, ceramics, photography, moving image, textiles, and more. You can discover established and emerging artists and creatives whose work reflects their surroundings, from the Adelaide Hills, Barossa Valley, Fleurieu Peninsula, Limestone Coast, Eyre Peninsula, Riverland, Flinders Ranges, and beyond. Sala Festival also features artist talks and demonstrations. Adelaide, by ATDW feed, on the 9th of February 2025. Listing. Step into the spotlight at Impact Dance Festival. Are you an emerging dancer or choreographer aged 12 to 25? The Impact Dance Festival in Lake Macquarie is your chance to showcase your talent, connect with industry professionals, and grow your career. This is your opportunity to perform, learn, and network in a vibrant, creative community. Apply for grants to present your choreography on stage. The festival offers funding and...
If you were my girlfriend or some person or someone or whatever, we can go all these places or whatever. Somehow we do it. And where we at, how we going, how are ya?
And resources to bring your artistic vision to life. Participate in daily workshops led by professional artists. Improve your skills in choreography, technique, and professional development. Meet experienced choreographers, fellow artists, and industry leaders. Build valuable connections that could open doors to future opportunities. Festival schedule, workshops, hands-on sessions to develop your craft. Performances. Warners Bay, by ATDW feed, on the 9th of February 2025. Listing. Ephemeral is an annual celebration of the Panbula wetland landscape and the creativity it inspires. The community is invited to wander the grounds of the wetlands, enjoy installations of art, music, craft demonstrations, dance performances and stalls. Or book yourself in for a workshop with one of our talented local artists. Bring a picnic blanket and enjoy the offerings of food and beverage carts. Ephemeral 2026 brings people together to share and connect over artistic experiences against the backdrop of a relaxed and natural environment. Panbula, by ATDW feed, on September 20th, 2025. Listing. The Persian New Year, Nowruz, also written as Nowruz and Nowruz, marks the first day of spring or equinox as the beginning of the year in the Persian calendar. It is celebrated on the day of the astronomical northward equinox, which usually occurs on March 21st or the previous following day depending on where it is observed. The moment the sun crosses the celestial equator and equalizes night and day is calculated exactly every year, and families gather together to observe the rituals. Nowruz is an ancient, national Iranian custom and celebrated by people from diverse ethnic communities and religious backgrounds for thousands of years. Celebrations include complete cleaning of the house, spring cleaning, setting the hafts and table, and sitting around. Perth, by ATDW feed, on the 7th of February 2025. Listing. Catch the Flotsam Festival as it rolls across the Gold Coast with surf, film and photo pop-up events spanning beachside towns from Burleigh to Coolangatta. Flotsam's 2-week Pixel Party hosts free and ticketed events including photo exhibitions staged indoor and out, beachside surf cinema nights, live music and more. Don't miss the Flotsam Festival Party Wave, only on the Gold Coast, only in May. Burleigh Heads, by ATDW feed, on June 28, 2025. Listing. The 1770 Festival is an annual commemorative event held in the town of 1770, Queensland, the only number on the map in Australia. 1770 Festival is held around the historic date of the 24th of May 1770, when Lieutenant James Cook and his HMB Endeavour crew landed on the east coast shore at the point now named the town of 1770. Or 1770, the crew experienced their first encounters in country with the local Gureng people before sailing away on further historic global explorations, which included Lieutenant Cook becoming Captain Cook. Every May, locals and visitors reflect on Cook's legacy of exploration, his incredible cartography skills, and documented observations of country and First Peoples, traditional custodians, the Gureng, 1770, by ATDW feed, on the 6th of August 2025. Listing. Soak up the sun, then chase the night. The Waterfront Festival is a highlight of Melbourne's summer and it's back for 2026. It's the ultimate celebration of summer, delivering live music, rides, food and culture on Frankston's iconic waterfront. Friday night includes weekend party anthems and entertainment for all ages as the sun sets. Saturday day and night of family fun all day, live music, festival vibes, epic fireworks. Frankston, by ATDW feed, on the 6th of April 2025. Listing. Salt Festival is a 10-day festival set on the southern Eyre Peninsula that showcases the best of the region and a host of incredible acts from around Australia. Over the 10 days, Salt offers an incredible program of performances, workshops, feasts and talks. Whether you are a lover of seafood, fine music, or theatre, or want to try to create something with one of the workshops, there is something for everyone at Salt Festival. Enjoy the picturesque views of the southern Eyre Peninsula by day and incredible acts by night. At Salt Festival, anything is possible. Port Lincoln, by ATDW feed, on the 10th of November 2025. Listing. This October long weekend enjoy a food, wine and music festival in the vineyards of the Southern Highlands, 90 minutes southwest of Sydney. Set in the picturesque surrounds of Centennial Vineyard in Bowral, Horizontal Festival is more than just a food and wine celebration, it's part concert, part degustation menu, part art show and part wine, craft beer and distillery tasting. It's a curated sensory journey. General admission entry includes wine, distillery and cheese tastings, live music and performances, a take-home festival glass and New South Wales makers stalls and more. Across 2 unforgettable days, guests will discover the richness of New South Wales regional produce, paired not only with world-class wine, beer and cocktails, but also with art, design, music and culture. Bowral, by ATDW feed, on October 14, 2025. Listing. Join Garma Festival in the remote north of Australia as the Yolngu clans of Arnhem Land come together for a 4-day celebration of art, music, dance, ceremony and song. Hosted by the Yothu Yindi Foundation, Dharma is like nothing you've experienced before, a place where the freshwater and saltwater meet. An opportunity for cross-cultural exchange. Daily workshops give Dharma guests the chance to immerse themselves in different aspects of Yolngu culture, while the Key Forum Policy Conference hosts discussions and debates on major issues. The stunning outdoor gap and art gallery, lit up under the stars, is a sight to behold, while the daily bungle ceremonial dance at sunset is not to be missed. Nullarbor, by ATDW feed, on October 14, 2025. Listing. The Underlup Association's bundle.
Stop it. This is Wollongong.
Wollongong, Wikipedia. Wuulngong, Darawal, Woolyoonga is a city located in Theelawarra region in New South Wales, Australia. It lies on the narrow coastal strip between Theelawarra Escarpment and the Pacific Ocean. 85 kilometres 53 miles south of Sydney. Wollongong had an estimated urban population of 302,739 at June 2018, making it the 3rd largest city in New South Wales after Sydney and Newcastle and the 10th largest city in Australia by population. 6. The city's current Lord Mayor is Tanya Brown, who was elected in 2024. 7. The Wollongong area extends from Helensburgh in the north to Windang and Yalla in the south. Geologically, the city is located in the southeastern part of the Sydney Basin, which extends from Newcastle to Nowra. 8. Wollongong is noted for its heavy industry, its port activity and the quality of its physical setting, occupying a narrow coastal plain between an almost continuous chain of surf beaches and the cliffline of the rainforest-covered Illawarra Escarpment. It has 2 cathedrals, churches of many denominations and Thien and Tien Temple. Wollongong has a long history of coal mining and industry. The city attracts many tourists each year and is a regional centre for the South Coast fishing industry. University Town, it is home to the University of Wollongong. The name is believed to originate from Darawal language, meaning either 5 islands clouds, ground near water, or sound of the sea. 10. The area was originally inhabited by Darawal indigenous Australians. The first Europeans to visit the area were the navigators George Bass and Matthew Flinders, who landed at Lake Illawarra in 1796. The first settlers in the region were cedar cutters in the early 19th century, followed by graziers in 1812. Charles Frosby established a stockman's hut in the area in 1815. The first land grants were made in 1816. In 1823, Charles Frosby Smith and Sarah Broughton Smith became the first settlers in what is now Wollongong. 11. 12. The former played a significant role during the settlement's first few decades and is a founding figure for the city. 13. In 1830, a military barracks was constructed near the harbour. Further settlers arrived and in 1834 a town was planned on the Smith property. 12. On the 26th of November, 1834, the town was first gazetted and George Brown erected the first courthouse. The main road down the escarpment for Bully Pass was built by convict labour in 1835-6, although other passes were built during the 19th century as well, such as O'Brien's Road and Rickson's Pass. By 1856 Wollongong had a population of 864. In 1858, a courthouse was built. In 1861, a horse-drawn tramway from Mount Kirito the harbour was completed. In 1862 a telegraph line was opened between Wollongong and Bellambi. In 1865 the first gas supply in Wollongong was provided from a gas plant in Corrimal Street. In 1868 the extensions to the harbour were opened by Lady Belmore and named Belmore Basin. Patrick Lariff established a coke works at Wollongong Harbour in the 1870s. He erected 2 beehive coke ovens between the northeastern end of the basin and Pulpit Rock. The ovens were demolished in 1892. The remains of the coke ovens were uncovered and recovered and are now preserved beneath the hill, with a plaque explaining their history. In 1871 the first lighthouse was completed, citation needed nevertheless. In 1881 a British clipper, Queen of Nations, ran ashore off the mouth of Taroji Creek. Her cargo included 24,000 bottles of Hennessy Queenac. Local police and NSW Customs recovered at least 5,000 bottles, but others were looted by members of the public. 14. The surviving part of the Queen of Nations wreck is only about 70 metres 230 feet from the shore, in water only 3 to 5 metres 10 to 16 feet deep. From time to time, a violent storm uncovers part of the wreck. After one such storm in 1991, looting resumed, including of the cognac. The Commonwealth Government quickly issued an order protecting the wreck under the Historic Shipwrecks Act 1976. 15. Since 2018 the Underwater Cultural Heritage Act 2018 has automatically protected the wreck and its contents, as they are more than 75 years old. In 1880, steam locomotives were introduced to haul coal from Mount Kira mine to the harbour. Gas street lighting was introduced in 1883. In 1885, a new courthouse was erected in Market Street. Like many Australian courthouses, it was designed in a classical revival style considered appropriate for public buildings. It is now listed on the Register of the National Estate. 16. In 1886, the first town hall was erected. The Illawarra Railway to Wollongong was completed in 1887, and now continues as far south as the town of Bomaderry and Thesholhaven River. The navigator George Bass first documented the Illawarra coal deposits in 1797. There have been many coal mines in the district. Australia's worst coal mining disaster occurred in 1902, at Mount Kemblaman, when an explosion killed 94 men and boys, the youngest aged 14, the oldest 69. 2 other men died attempting to rescue survivors. Survivors were treated at the A.M. Albert Memorial Hospital, 17, which opened in 1864 and closed when the Wollongong Hospital opened in 1907, 18, on Garden Hill. In 1916, the Wollongong High School was opened. Heavy industry was attracted to the region by the ready availability of coal. In 1928, Hoskins, later Australian Iron and Steel, started a steelworks at Port Kembla, a few kilometres south of Wollongong. The former Broken Hill Proprietary Company, NOB, after merging with Billiton plc, acquired AINS in 1935, but has since spun out their steel division as a separate company, now known as Bluescope. The steelworks has grown to become a world-class flat-rolled steel producer, operating as a fully integrated steel plant with a production of around 5 million tonnes per year. Other industries to have set up in the massive Port Kembla Industrial Complex, the largest single concentration of heavy industry in Australia, include a fertilizer plant, an electrolytic copper smelter, a locomotive workshop, a coal export shipping terminal, a grain export shipping terminal, and an industrial gases manufacturing plant. In 1936, the new Wollongong Lighthouse was finished on Flagstaff Point. 19. In 1942, Wollongong was proclaimed a city. In 1947, City of Greater Wollongong was formed. In 1954, the population of Wollongong was 90,852. In 1956, new Wollongong City Council chambers were opened. In 1961, the Wollongong University College was established. In 1963, the Wollongong Teachers College was established. In 1965, Westfield Shopping Centre at Victorypond. In 1985, the railway line was electrified to Wollongong, and in 1993 to Dapto. In 1986, the Wollongong Mall was completed. For a short while, trams, trackless trains were used in the mall, though this ceased due to dangers involved. The mall was reopened to traffic after the initial test but rezoned a pedestrian area after and has remained one since. In 1987, the council chambers and library building were completed, replacing the old council building at the present art gallery site. The Crown Gateway Shopping Centre was completed. Wollongong Mall was opened. In 1988, the current council administration building was completed, as well as the Illawarra Performing Arts Centre IPAC across the road on Borelli Street. IPAC was officially opened by Prince Charles and Princess Diana in 1988. Citation needed. A sculpture recognizing Lawrence Hargrave was placed via helicopter on the eastern foothills off Mount Kira. In 1998, the 6000 Wollongong Entertainment Centre was opened. In 1999, the Gateway and Crown Central Mall buildings were unified as Wollongong Central, and a pedestrian walkway cafe was built connecting the buildings in an above-ground bridge. In 2000, as part of the Sydney Olympics, the Olympic torch was carried through Wollongong as part of its journey. In 2001, the population of Wollongong reached 181,612. In 2004, the Wollongong City Gallery celebrated its 25th anniversary. In 2005, Qantas established a daily air service from Wollongong to Melbourne that lasted till 2008. In 2006-2007, the library was renovated, including new facilities, as part of the 10th anniversary of the library's current site. Also at this time, the beachfront was renovated with a new lookout and walkway upgrade. In June 2007, erosion was caused via storms to the beaches, the worst in 30 years. Despite the decline of traditional manufacturing and blue-collar industries due to the abandonment of protectionist economic policies in the 1980s, many of these industrial installations still exist. The city's economy is, however, on the rebound, thanks to diversification of economic activity including higher education, the fine arts, tourism, residential construction and eco-friendly electricity generation. However, the city's economy still relies primarily on heavy industry, and will continue to in the near future. In 2024, the wreck of a coal ship was discovered by accident off the coast of Wollongong. The ship, the SS Nemesis, was sailing from Wollongong to Melbourne and sank nearly 120 years ago. 20. Wollongong has a number of heritage-listed sites, including Church Street, St Michael's Cathedral 21, Cliff Road, North Beach Precinct 22, Cliff Road and Endeavour Drive, Wollongong Harbour Precinct 23, 87 Crown Street 24, 91 Crown Street, Old Wollongong East Post Office 25, Darling Street, Allura House 26, Illawarra Railway, Wollongong Railway Station 27, 197 Kira Street, Regent Theatre 28, 11 Market Street, Old Wollongong Telegraph and Post Office 29, 31 to 33 Smith Street, Little Milton 12. The city of Wollongong has a distinct geography. It lies on a narrow coastal plain flanked by the Tasman Sea.
Alright, enough of that.
Australia World Records. Copyright 2007-2025. World Record Academy. All rights reserved. Eight crazy world records held by Australia. Insider guides. A couple of weeks ago, Adelaide officially became the hottest capital city in Australia, reaching a sweltering and sweaty 46.6 C. In honor of this feat of climate insanity, let's review some of the weird and wonderful, mostly weird record-breaking achievements of your new host country. Tallest inflatable water slide. While we're on the topic of hot weather, summer and water slides go hand in hand. While most Aussies are happy with a simple backyard slip and slide, sometimes you need a bit more elevation. The world's tallest inflatable water slide is called Hybrid XL and is situated in Perth. It stands at an incredible 22.4 meters tall, taller than a 4-story house. Fastest time to solve a Rubik's Cube. While many of us struggle to solve the puzzle at all, 22-year-old Felix Semdegs from Canberra did it in an incredible 4.22 seconds. But he doesn't just hold the world record for the fastest time to solve a Rubik's Cube, he's also the fastest to solve it one-handed. Doing so in a mere 6.88 seconds. Most people looking at the night sky at once. In 2018, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation (ABC) hosted Stargazing Live, with over 40,000 people simultaneously observing the moon through telescopes. Across the country, this eclipsed the last record also held by Australia, where only 7,960 people were involved. Longest economic expansion. On a slightly larger scale, as a whole, Australia holds the record for the longest economic expansion on record, with 104 quarters of economic growth without recession since 1991. This record beats previous record holder, the Netherlands. Largest simultaneous car tire burnout. On a much smaller scale, Australia also holds the record for the world's largest simultaneous car tire burnout. A total of 126 vehicles destroyed their tires for the record in Canberra, with rainbow smoke pouring out from underneath the cars. Oldest skydiver. Back to Adelaide, where in 2018, 102-year and 193 days old Irene O'Shea became the world's oldest skydiver, snatching back the record from Kenneth Meyer in the USA, who was 102 years and 172 days at the time of his jump. So maybe your study abroad is a good opportunity to skydive over the Australian landscape. Largest dessert pizza. Crust Pizza holds the record for the largest dessert pizza in the world, which took 20 of their chefs 16 hours to make. The result, a 46.6 meters long or 2,000 slices dessert pizza topped with chocolate, strawberries and cream, which lucky spectators on the Gold Coast got to eat. Most push-ups in 1 hour. Also on the Gold Coast, local fitness fanatic Jared Young did an incredible 2,806 push-ups in 1 hour. We're tired just thinking about it. Fastest journey on foot across Australia, Perth to Sydney, Mail, Guinness World Records. Who? Chris Turnbull. What? 39, 8, 1 days, hours, minutes. Where? Australia, from Perth Cottesloe Beach to Sydney Manly Beach after passing Sydney City. When? The 16th of September 2023. Age restriction. Applications for this record title will only be accepted if the applicant is 16 years of age or over. The fastest journey on foot across Australia, Perth to Sydney, is 39 days 8 hours 1 minute, and was achieved by Chris Turnbull, Australia, in Sydney. New South Wales, Australia, from the 8th of August 2023 to the 16th of September 2023. Chris Turnbull smashed the record for the journey from the west coast of Australia to the east coast. His journey on foot across the country took him through all the various obstacles the country's conditions had to offer. Image credit, Jack Bullen. Records change on a daily basis and are not immediately published online. For a full list of record titles, please use our record application search. You will need to register, login for access. Comments below may relate to previous holders of this record. The Australian Book of Records. About the founders. The Australian Book of Records Tabor was established in 2012 by world driving record breakers Helen Taylor with 94 world records and John Taylor with 97 world records. The Taylors started the Singapore Book of Records SBOR in 2004 and it is still going strong today. Now in the very capable hands of a Singaporean publishing company. Apart from breaking records, they both have a strong background in management and business. Their wish was to provide the opportunity to all Aussies to become world and national record holders, in their words to reach for the stars. Read more. World record price for a yearling filly. April 13, 2024. It was a day of staggering drama, global records and the most incredible bidding and theatre ever witnessed in a thoroughbred sales ring as the much Anticipated daughter of Piro, world record price for a yearling filly. April 13, 2024. It was a day of staggering drama, global records and the most incredible bidding and theatre ever witnessed in a thoroughbred sales ring as the much anticipated daughter of Piro, world's largest nutbush dance. December 19, 2023. On Saturday the 19th of August, 2023, 6,594 people danced the nutbush, smashing the world record while honouring the legendary Tina Turner. It was at the Mundi Mundi Bash, Silverton, world's largest nutbush dance. December 19, 2023. On Saturday the 19th of August, 2023, 6,594 people danced the nutbush, smashing the world record while honouring the legendary Tina Turner. It was at the Mundi Mundi Bash, Silverton. Record breakers on YouTube. Please enjoy watching some of our remarkable record breakers on YouTube and don't forget to send your record videos in so we can share them on our site. Watch more. Create, compile, adjudicate and administer all national world records. Promote national and world record breaking opportunities for all people living in Australia and Australians living overseas. Provide a platform to showcase human excellence and encourage everyone to strive for their best. Tabor proudly support the LETR law enforcement .run. LETR is changing the future of people with intellectual disability and lighting the way for acceptance and inclusion. Get your free book. Around the World in 78 Days is the book we wrote to tell our fabulous story. A unique trip we will never forget. Get it now. Get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Please drop us a line with the help of this form. Guinness World Records 2021, 6 Aussies who have broken into the record books. 1 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Lisa Blair. Lisa is published in the book for achieving the fastest circumnavigation of Australia in a sailboat female, solo, in 58 days 2 hours 25 minutes 39 seconds. 2 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Cameron Gibbs. He's an Aussie, but he loves The Simpsons. Cameron has the world's largest collection of Simpsons memorabilia with 2,580 different items. 3 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Sam Newstead and Julian O'Shea. This adventurous pair hold the record for the highest altitude skateboarding, 5,700 meters. It was achieved at the Sari-Cabo volcano in the Atacama Desert. 4 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Forrest the giraffe. An animal, but an Aussie nonetheless. Forrest broke the record for being the tallest giraffe living, who measures 5.7 meters, to the top of the Ossicones. As verified at Australia's Zoo. 5 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Ant Williams. Victorian freediver Ant Williams broke the record for the deepest dive under ice, holding a single breath fins and diving suit by a male at 70.3 meters. 6 of 6 attribution, Guinness World Records 2021. Dan Bull. Dan entered the books for the highest altitude swim at 6,370 meters 20,898.91 feet in Copiapó, Chile. Australian Open 2026 Jordan Smith $1 Slam $1 million winner, Joanna Garland, Jannik Sinner. In a quest to win $1 million, 29-year-old Jordan Smith can officially say he knocked off world number 2 Jannik Sinner during a night that changed his life forever. Smith came into the $1 Slam as an amateur and defeated Sinner on his way to the final before winning against professional women's player Joanna Garland. Tonight was the debut of the $1 Slam, a contest on Rod Laver Arena where amateurs, professionals and celebrities went head-to-head in an instant elimination format, but each round consisted of one single point. Advertisement. Watch the Adelaide International and Australian Open qualifying live and free on 9 Now. Representing Castle Hill Tennis Academy, Smith started the night against AFL star Bailey Smith and accounted for him with ease. In the third round he came against Sinner, who was only allowed one serve and put it straight into the net. That was all just luck, Smith laughed on Nine's coverage. Smith and Garland then found themselves in the final after the latter had also defeated the likes of Alexander Zverev, Nick Kyrgios and Donna Vekic. Read more. Heartbreaking realization after Kyrgios wins exhibition match. Read more. Smith makes huge call after wild PGA Tour ultimatum. Read more. Broad hits out at England drinking allegations. Garland won the scissors, paper, rock battle and opted to serve for the $1 million point. Smith returned her serve before the Taiwan representative hit her next shot wide as the camera panned to the Aussies family going wild in the stands. I can't even speak, that's unbelievable, he said after the win. Smith said he'll either invest the money or buy property in Sydney. Half a house, he suggested earlier in reference to Sydney's housing prices. $50,000 will go to Smith's club at Castle Hill Tennis Academy. Amid the somewhat seriousness of a $1 million prize, there were also plenty of light-hearted moments throughout the night. In the second round, Victorian amateur Peter Jovic came up against Daniil Medvedev and produced a brilliant tweener. However, Medvedev was up to the task and dropped the winning point short before putting his hands on his head in shock. Medvedev's shock at point of the night. Daniil Medvedev entertains the crowd by returning a brilliant tweener. Video player is loading. Current time 0-100. Duration 0-100. Remaining time 0-100. Beginning of dialog window. Escape will cancel and close the window. Text color transparency. Background color transparency. Window color transparency. Text edge style. End of dialog window. Current times. Duration 0:100. Medvedev shock at point of the night. Point of the night, Todd Woodbridge said. In the same round, Aussie comedian Andy Lee came up against Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka. Lee delivered a sledge to Osaka before the match saying, "I don't want to intimidate Naomi, but you've lost a lot more points out here than I have." Andy Lee's sledge to Osaka backfires. Andy Lee double faults against Naomi Osaka after an earlier sledge. Video player is loading. Current time 0:100. Duration 0:100. Remaining time 0:100. Beginning of dialog window. Escape will cancel and close the window. Text color transparency. Background color transparency. Window color transparency. Font size. Text edge style. Font family. End of dialog window. Current time 0:100. Duration 0:100. Remaining time 0:100. Andy Lee's sledge to Osaka backfires. You know what? Osaka fired back after initial shock. Get on the court, we'll see what happens. Lee then double faulted, with his second serve and underarm, making it a horrendous sledge.
Talk to me. What do you think? You've got an Australian Open champion over the other side of the net.
Well, the Aussies are good at getting behind Aussies, I assume. And I don't want to intimidate Naomi, but you've lost a lot more points out here than I have.
You get right of reply. What do you think of that?
You know what? Just get on the court. We'll see what happens.
Yeah! Them fighting words. Okay, rock, paper, scissors, and we're away. Naomi Osaka. Are you serving? You're serving?
Damn.
Naomi, you got to go down the other round and don't let him psych you out with the ball toss, okay? Just...
Andy dreaming of the $1 million. Can he deliver another beautiful first serve?
I think we need a chant. Andy. Andy.
Ready? Play.
ABC News.
Hello, David Rollins taking a look at what's making news early on this Thursday, the 15th of January 2026. US President Donald Trump's peace envoy Steve Witkoff has announced the launch of the second phase of the Gaza peace plan between Israel and Hamas. Witkoff says Phase 2 establishes a transitional Palestinian administration in Gaza and also begins a full-scale demilitarisation and reconstruction of the enclave. He added that the US fully expects Hamas to comply with the terms of the second stage, including the return of the remains of the final Israeli hostage in Gaza. Sweden and Denmark say they're both bolstering their military presence in Greenland as US Vice President J.D. Vance meets with senior officials from the territory at the White House. Sweden says it's among several European allies to send officers to the Danish territory to help conduct military exercises. Denmark, meanwhile, says it will have a more permanent presence on the island going forward. Earlier, US President Donald Trump took to social media to again insist that Washington needs Greenland for national security purposes, adding that anything less is unacceptable. And the United Kingdom is joining the US in withdrawing select military personnel from the Middle East amidst escalating tensions in Iran. Activists say more than 2,500 people have been killed in protests so far, although the real figure could be much higher due to the lack of information coming out of the country. At the moment, things seem to be in something of a holding pattern, with the US poised to act, but it's not clear when or how. That brings you up to date with the latest ABC.
ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news
On Wednesday with all new episodes of ABC News Daily.
Hello, I'm Sydney Peed, coming to you from Gadigal Land, Sydney, with the news on ABC News Daily. It's feared more than 500 people have been killed and tens of thousands more arrested during violent anti-government clashes in cities across Iran, which have now entered their third week. Iran's Islamic regime is using deadly force to crack down on the unrest, which has been growing in response to soaring inflation and the weakening of the country's currency. Now, many Iranians are calling for an end to the regime. But information is scarce, with authorities cutting off communication inside Iran, also jamming satellite TV channels and blocking internet access. On state TV, the country's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, blamed the riots on enemies of Iran, including the US and Israel, which he claims are encouraging acts of sabotage by protesters.
The United States and Israel are sitting there giving instructions to these people, telling them, go ahead, we are backing you.
The US President Donald Trump is now considering options to attack Iran over the killing of protesters.
Seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
The regime has warned it will retaliate if the US intervenes. Today, Middle East correspondent for The Economist, Greg Karlstrom, on how seriously Iran's leadership is taking threats from the White House. But first, Negin Shiragai, a British Iranian activist and founder of the Azadi Network, which supports minority groups inside Iran, on the uprising and why so many are taking to the streets. She's speaking with ABC News Radio's Sarah Morris. What more have you been hearing about the scale of these protests and the response, of course, from the government forces as well?
Since evening, nighttime, Iran time on Thursday, there's a complete shutdown of the communication with Iran. There is no internet, and even inside Iran, contacting each other is impossible. But also, there's a lot of activists send some Starlinks to Iran, so we managed to get some news since then. I have to admit, since this morning, I had no connection even via Starlink. It's been impossible to get through and get more news out. But we know there has been protests. There's some trickles of news coming out. But we also seen some of the footages that came out. Someone left the country. And that video is quite horrifying. I'm not going to go into too much details of it. But it basically shows that in one city, in one day there is 250 dead bodies, and the government is like, it's a monitor that shows the pictures of these people, and the count says 250. So we expect the number goes much higher. I've been talking to activists in other cities, and I know there has been dire situation in those cities as well. We know, some of the sources told me from each unit in the police, one of them has the right to kill and live ammunition in their guns, but also they have snipers in places, and they don't shy away from killing people, because that's the supreme leader also ordered the other day. So they're going to crack down as much as possible in the hope that the people would be afraid and go back home. But people, from what I hear on the ground, they say we don't have anything else to lose. We've been out over the years so many times. We want to overthrow them, and this is our push, and we're going to go until they fall down. But as the pictures are showing, it's a really bloody battle.
It does sound horrific, and like you, we're seeing just a few pictures that are able to come out. You mentioned there that people say they've got nothing to lose. We have sort of been here before, and the regime has managed to quell protests like this before. Is this situation different? Is there anything different this time around that gives those who want to see regime change hope?
So to understand what happened and why this is different, I have to go a little bit back to give you a sense of what happened the last 6 months in the economy of the country. So after Women Life Freedom and the massive crackdown, there were a lot of killings, maiming people felt really angry, but then they felt frustrated because the government didn't collapse. But still, that anger was still alive in their hearts, in their bodies, and also at the same time, they had to face this worsening economical situation that was worsening day by day. But also, in this last 6 months, we've seen a lot of corruption-related, rise of prices, and the collapse of the Iranian currency, massive collapse of the Iranian currency, which is also linked to the corruption in the system. The price of egg, for example, eggs overnight went 300% up. So it got to the point that managing your day-to-day life became impossible, and people felt, oh, what else I'm going to losing? And then we shouldn't forget, this protest started with the protest in Iran's bazaar, the marketplace, which is historically has a really psychological significance. This is a place that when they joined the protest during the former Shah of Iran, in 1979, that led to the collapse of the regime, and then, the Islamic Revolution. So the bazaar starting a protest. Soon after, other people started to join. And then all of those grievances, they were compiling up. And then since Tuesday, we saw there is a shift, because before that, there was like 10% support for Pahlavi, 10% support for Islamic Republic, and that was shown in data, the pollings. But then suddenly people felt, what do we have to lose? And then maybe we go out there, and Pahlavi and Trump talked about, freedom of Iran. And they said, maybe we can topple the government with the help of others. So I think it's a really complex situation, because there's so many demands out there, but then we hear some of the demands towards one person or the other. But also, it's not as easy as that to say, oh, if Trump attacks, the people of Iran are supporting that, because it's a complex situation, because they know at the end, Trump doesn't do it for democracy or for them, but also they don't have anything else to lose, because they've been killed on daily basis, and the footages that are showing, they just open fire randomly and killing people. Right now, there's another video came out of a burial of one of these protesters, that the police attacked the burial ceremony. So it's been constantly losing your life, either on the streets or feeling, okay, we're going to go until for our children, we can create a better future. But that's unfortunately the situation at the moment.
That was British Iranian activist Negin Shiragai speaking with ABC News Radio's Sarah Morris. Greg Karlstrom is a Middle East correspondent for The Economist. He's speaking with ABC journalist Jade McMillan.
The New York Times is reporting that President Trump has been briefed on military strike options against Iran if the crackdown continues. How seriously do you think that's being taken inside Iran right now, particularly by the leadership?
I think they're taking these threats seriously based on experience. They remember what happened last summer when Trump spent several months issuing threats to the regime around nuclear negotiations. Those negotiations went nowhere, and then he ultimately followed through on those threats and carried out airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. So there is precedent here for Donald Trump making good on threats that he makes towards the Iranians. But I think the question is, what exactly is he planning? It was one thing over the summer to carry out this discrete one-off strike against a very particular target, the nuclear sites. It's another thing to promise to rescue protesters from the regime, to protect them from being attacked by the regime. What that means in practice, I think, is a lot murkier.
Yeah, what kind of options do you think Donald Trump could be considering here?
I mean, there's a menu of options ranging from, if you're talking military options, a symbolic strike on one end of the spectrum, which I think would be largely ineffective and might end up being counterproductive because it would show that he's not actually planning to rescue the protesters, as he says. And then it could be something more concerted, a more extensive campaign of strikes against the Revolutionary Guard, all the way up to perhaps an effort at decapitating the regime, at taking out senior members of the Revolutionary Guard, perhaps targeting the supreme leader himself. I'm sure any of those things are on the menu of military options that have been presented. But then I think what's also being considered, and perhaps being considered more seriously right now, are non-military options. Things like using cyber attacks to prevent Iran from shutting off the internet, as it's done over the past few days, trying to target computer systems used by the Revolutionary Guard and other security forces. Those might be the sorts of things the Americans at least start with, rather than immediately jumping to military strikes.
Just how big are these protests inside Iran at the moment? How do they compare to previous protest movements of 2022 and even 2009?
We don't know right now because of this communications blackout. There are fragmentary bits of information, videos, stories that are coming out of Iran, but it's very hard to have a comprehensive picture of the unrest. But I think what we can say with certainty is the protests have grown a lot over the past few days. Since Thursday night, that was really the first night when we saw large-scale nationwide protests. I've spoken to some people who think we're now talking about a bigger uprising than in 2022. There are some Iranian analysts who are even comparing it to those major protests in 2009 that followed a stolen election back then. And then I think the intensity of the crackdown, the violence from the regime, is also some of the worst that we've seen. The official confirmed death toll from human rights groups is still in the hundreds, but even they acknowledge that is probably an undercount. And stories that are coming out of hospitals overrun by gunshot victims, morgues overflowing with bodies, it sounds as if the death toll is indeed quite high.
These protests began over economic issues. How have they evolved since then, and what is now driving people onto the streets despite these obvious risks?
I think what's driving people is just an overarching sense that the regime has no answer for any of the existential problems that are facing the country. Economic concerns are a big part of it. The currency has lost 50% of its value just in the past year. Inflation is running above 40%. People are really struggling at this point to pay for food and medicine and other basic essentials in Iran. That's one piece of it. Another piece of it is environmental crisis, which is getting worse and worse, to the point where a couple of months ago in November, there were real concerns that Tehran was going to run out of water, that the capital might have to be evacuated because there would not be water for millions of people in Tehran. And then you add to that the war with Israel over the summer, the possibility of another conflict that is still looming. There's a feeling that there are all of these interlocking crises in Iran right now. And again, the government just has no solutions for any of them.
Greg Karlstrom is a Middle East correspondent for The Economist. He was speaking with the ABC's Jane McMillan. We also heard from British Iranian activist Negin Shirikai, speaking with Sarah Morris. I'm Sydney Peed. I'll be back again tomorrow with another top story for the news on ABC News Daily. Thanks for listening.
Solamente mi sector. Ciao, 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 ciao.